Michelangelo's David, and he'll be peeing out your vodka.
What is the biggest myth that people believe about celebrity weddings and it's just completely untrue?
Oh my gosh, there's so many myths that they believe. Um, One, that they have all the money in the world, that they're going to throw every single thing that they ever had at their wedding, or they get everything for free. And there's a little bit of that. Once upon a time when I started doing the reality television weddings, people would call me for free, and I had to come up with the line, "I'm all out of free." It
So
just
hold
doesn't
on. So
work.
the celebrity couples would call you as an established, well-known planner and expect you to work for free.
There are some out there that are known to do that. Yes, especially the
Okay.
TV shows too. Yes, yes. And
Okay.
and I've seen some of those shows where I know they did it for free and it hurts my heart.
Ouch. All right. Because I think to go back to what you just said about imagining that couples, and that could be highbrow or celebrity couples have this unlimited budget. And I've certainly seen that where couples have had to say, we're going to have to get rid of these $20,000 trees because we've hit our limit, right?
Oh my gosh. If you really want the skinny, I did one wedding once and I have to watch out because I have an NDA. But they said on this television show that the clients, oh my gosh, how did it work out? The client, I knew how much this person had made the deal with the television show to spend, and we're gonna say, I'll let you know, it was less than the average wedding that you see
Oh,
in the magazines published.
less.
And yet we got them just about $500,000 worth of items that were unbelievable. And really the value, if you looked at it in the eye candy after they shot it, was a $2 million wedding. But that was the deal that the star made with the network. And we came on board and got a lot of items, but it was not what people normally said. And see, when they go to buy things themselves, and that's what breaks my heart for these brides. They see these magazines, they see these weddings on television, and they're not affordable. They're not reachable for most people, especially when they're not really investing in themselves.
And do couples ask you to get that negotiation going for them? Are they coming to you and saying, well, I want such and such a florist to do it for free? Are they asking you to do the legwork on that?
Oh my gosh, well, that's really interesting because I don't do that anymore at all. But when I first started on reality TV, I did go and I learned, and this is when I started saying no. I went to a florist who told me I want to have five celebrities on my books by the end of this year. I went to them, said, I'm doing this wedding on television. It's a big celebrity. I have this much money, which was not much. It was like $10,000. And can you make it fabulous? And what I had to give that florist the opportunity to do whatever they wanted. This was their big moment, their big chance. And when it showed up, it was not my style. I was horrified by what
Oh,
showed up.
oh no. So they were
Ah,
too small or the style was bad? Like, what was
it
it?
was tacky. It was so tacky. If I recall, it was like magenta orchids and like black velvet boxes or something that to me it's just it's not my thing.
Oh my God, what did the couple say?
I mean, they were fine. They were fine. They were happy, but I'm a perfectionist. I am so crazy about every single detail being absolutely perfect. So, you know what? You want that perfect wedding. You got to invest. You got to invest your time and your money or have a planner that you just really trust. They invest their time into making sure that every detail, and that's what you pay for.
And have you had any unreasonable requests? Like you might have had to say no to, or maybe you were able to actually deliver, but have you had anything that was quite unreasonable?
Oh my gosh, yes. And we have delivered. And
Are you able to share those with us?
oh my gosh, I had one that was one of the biggest days. Okay, I've been doing this for 2 decades, so I'm just going to put this out there. And it
She
was
started when
seven,
she was 5.
yes, I did. It was 777, which was the biggest wedding date of that whole era. Everybody, and I had two big, both celebrity weddings on that day. And the groom, who was, he was a bit of a star himself, and he was used to, people taking care of him. He called me the day of the wedding and asked me if I could have a dove release. He forgot to ask me in
Oh,
advance.
he just forgot. So if we could just magic up a couple of doves now.
with trackers that will make it back home from our location. And I did it. I mean, I was even shocked. I could not believe I just got out. And that's the power of having a great Rolodex and connections and knowing who to call immediately because we had it.
I
And then
love
I
the
went
thought that you have an address book and like an under D is like Dove Connections, right? And hold on, I just need to circle back because you said you were doing two celebrity weddings on the same day. How the hell did you do that?
okay, well, one, I didn't know it was a celebrity. So there's
But
part of that.
even two weddings on one day. Forget the celebrity. Like you did two weddings on the same day. How do you just like how?
I have a great team. I have an amazing, amazing team. So, what we do when you first sign up with people, you don't know their dates yet. They don't know their dates. So, I make sure and take my entire team to the meetings and say, you've got to like one of us because when I'm booked, I'm booked. And the first wedding I had was actually, it was funny because it was not a celebrity that I knew that was a celebrity either. Both of them, which is quite funny. The one that I did first that I committed to was Sharon Osbourne's interior designer married her contractor. I had no idea her contractor was a horror movie star.
Who
And
knew?
I had no idea
Oh
until
my God.
I saw him after the wedding with his arm around George Clooney. And I knew George was one of his dearest friends, but it was like more about George, click here, more about Tom Matthews. And he's like a slasher killer in movies. I had no idea.
I
But
love
his
it.
guest list, but first of all, because Sharon recommended me, I had to do a great job. And then his guest list was star-studded. So I should have gone on, but in my mind, he was the contractor the
He was just a
entire
contractor, right? So
time.
were you doing the other wedding?
So the other wedding I sent my team on, and in our very first meeting, it was the bride and her sister, and she was marrying a celebrity.
Okay.
And they just didn't want to disclose it when they interviewed me. They didn't want to tell. And I put my team on it, and sure enough, it turned out to be someone that was in two movies that were up for Best Picture 2 years in a row at the time we were doing it.
That's amazing. Okay, so tell me a thing. I come from a hotel background. So whilst yes, I planned, it was always inside hotels, not like yourself where you're an independent planner. What are some of the things that planners specifically are venting about privately behind closed doors? What are we not hearing you guys say when you're all like sparkles and rainbow and smiles, and then the door shuts and you're like, "Arr!"
Oh my gosh, I've got one, but I don't know that I'm so quiet. People usually know when I'm
She's like,
frustrated.
this is not the first time I've said this.
It's not. Well, we have a hotel right now that we're working with at a destination. Okay, Kelly, hold on for this. They don't have chairs. We have to rent everything. I mean, like you're at a hotel and we don't have lighting and we don't have chairs. And I have to, they don't even have cocktail tables and tablecloths. Not something I would have ever imagined when I went to a five-star hotel in a major destination. So I've been venting
Now,
because I did
chairs
not.
is one of my like top peeves, right? The whole chair situation with venues. So are you saying they don't even have the crappy banqueting chairs or like literally they have zero chairs?
Zero chairs for us. Not even whitewood folding, not the ugly banquets that you have to put something over. I
Nothing.
just never imagined because with my clients, you take them through the educational process,
Yeah.
right? And that's a big part that, and the patience that you start each time when you say, okay, look at this chair and
Yeah.
look at this tablecloth and let's look and think about it. Is it wrinkled? Does it really hit the floor? Is
Yeah.
it even? Do we want to rent some tablecloths? Do we want some better chairs? But this hotel doesn't have a single chair, and I am just out of my mind with that. So,
That is a new one. I have not heard that one before. And what's a trend that you are really waiting for it to disappear? Like, what's something we're seeing design wise or ceremony wise? Like, what's something you're like, I can't wait for this to go?
bows.
Oh, bows should be dead in the 90s, right?
I never wanted a bow in my hair when I was young. And I mean, I even got a little bit excited about the bows when I first saw a couple, like one giant bow that was above a fireplace. I remember pinning it, and went, that's pretty. But I'm so tired. And when, you know, what really kills me is when a bride whose wedding is 6 months or 8 months away shows me a trend that is 6 months and 8 months old.
On. Yeah. Yeah. And do you tell them, do you say, listen, that was 6 months ago. By the time you get married, this is going to be a year out of date? Or do you just nod and smile and let them run with what they like?
It depends on their personality. I usually do steer them away. So we take them through a process. I call it a lookbook.
Okay.
And what we do is we put, I mean, some people call it a mood board, but ours is a little bit different. And we'll put together pictures that they like, but then we'll put together pictures that we like and other variations or versions of theirs that we've kind of like taken off. And usually when they see what can be done, then, and then I tell them if you want this to be published, if you want it to be in a
Ah,
bridal magazine, which most of them usually
of
do,
course.
we
Yeah.
can't we can't be doing that trend from last year. No one's going to pick it up.
Oh, that's a great angle because they want their stuff being picked up in the magazines, right? So then that's it's not that you're like, I don't like your taste, it's that I know what the magazines will pick up. That's brilliant. I remember what
Oh,
I remember one time I had a wedding with two grooms and they were brilliant. I loved them and they had a very lovely budget. And we were sat with the decor, the designer, the stylist, and she was pitching some different ideas. And they kept like looking at me really quickly. And I was like, what is happening? And they're like, you can't hide it on your face if you think it's a crap idea. So we just keep checking because what she says, if you think it's rubbish, we're not going to do it.
yeah.
And my husband always says I have zero poker face, right? I'm just like, oh no, that sounds awful.
Oh my gosh, I'm the same way, completely animated. And yes, I'm going to look for them to look at me.
Yeah. As soon as they realize you have no poker face, they're like, does she like it? Is that going to be tacky? So, Michelle, obviously you've spent a long time in the industry. You know, you've got huge connections. People are, respect you hugely. But what's the fastest way for someone to lose your respect? So maybe you're working with them, not so much a couple, a client, but maybe other pros in your area.
Oh my goodness. I go absolutely bananas when I'm going to find a vendor or photographer and there's no phone number on their website because
Ooh,
I just want to make sure I can communicate with them. Like if it's a big form that I have to fill out and then I have to wait for them to call me back, it drives me crazy. I'm thinking they're not going to give good customer service if they can't even have a phone number. And we had one that my bride hired a photographer a few years ago. She never would give me her phone number. And sometimes, if you're on the day of an event and there's no photographer and you've got to call them, you need their phone number.
okay, no, they wouldn't give you the phone number even after they were hired.
Even after they were
This
hired.
is madness.
Yes.
Okay, I don't. So I do a lot with marketing and websites for wedding businesses, right? And I often say to
Mhm.
them, look, couples don't want to pick up the phone. So although we don't remove the phone number, we give them a different like formula, right? But
Yep.
that's
Nobody calls me.
that's
Nobody
a
calls
really
me.
interesting thing that you've said there for our wedding pros listening, that actually planners do want to pick up the phone. And so just having that number really visible, even just in the footer, somewhere super easy for the planners, not for the couples, is a brilliant tip for our people.
Oh, good, good. And I'm a fast talker. I know a lot of people really, really don't like calls, but my vendors love it because I'll start off the call with, okay, I got a quick question and I'm done in 5 seconds. So they'll take my call every single time. Got a quick question. Can you do a light install on Thursday? Okay, great. I'll email you. But I just want to make sure instead of sitting and waiting for an email to come in that they're able because my clients move fast. We do entire events in 3 days, sometimes 5 days. I did fireworks off the ocean one time in 3 days, and it's a 90-day permit. So I need vendors that are going to pick up that phone, say yes, and be ready to move with me.
What's the fastest wedding you've planned? So from the day they contacted you to the day of the wedding?
Oh my goodness. I've done them in a month, but I did two huge ones in 2 months. I did Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne's wedding in 2 months and Kat Von D's. And I knew about it for 3 months, but she was on tour with music. So by the time she came in and we could start the conversations, it was 2 months out. And they were both massive weddings.
That's incredible. And why did they want to get married so quickly? Why did they want to do it in 2 months?
Well, Kat, it's on the news. She was pregnant. So
Okay, fair
there
enough.
was that.
Deal
Yeah.
with
And
that.
that was a really funny story because she'd been my client for years and I love her like a sister. And I was actually on my laptop one morning and saw that she got engaged. And I went, wait, like I woke up to this and just, or not engaged, eloped at the courthouse. And I went, oh my gosh, I didn't plan the wedding. And so, like
You're
any
like
of her
offended. Like, excuse me, did anybody know that I was supposed to plan this?
I know. I was just, I mean, I sat up straight in bed and I was like a fan and just wrote, oh, congratulations on her Instagram. And then I sat and stared at it for about an hour. And then I texted her and said, oh, congratulations. I saw, and she said, oh my gosh, I was just getting ready to reach out to you. We want to do a wedding in June. And I
Okay,
went, okay,
good.
thank goodness, because I was crying, having a
Oh,
breakdown if I didn't get to do this for you. I love it's like it's my love language to give someone a big, beautiful wedding.
I love that. I love that it's your love language to do it. And it makes sense, right? Because you can't give at that level if it's not something that really lights you up. Which actually leads me, and I want to ask you a few more personal questions, if I may.
Sure.
As working mothers and, family, and, we have all these other pressures on us. I hear people say, and I certainly did, my younger years, you can have it all, right? You can have it all. But I wonder if you feel that you were able to have it all, or if there were pieces through your life where pieces of your career or personal had to take a back seat because of everything else. Or if you were like, nope, I had it all every day.
Oh my goodness. Well, my kids are now young adults, and I started doing this when my son was two, my oldest son. And he used to come with me and put salt and pepper shakers on the tables, at nighttime when I was catering and had to do it. So my kids grew up doing this, and I think it's made them fantastic entrepreneurs. So I'm going to brag. My mom's side's going to come out right now.
Yeah.
But I made sure they came to events with me. My first one, this is not a secret, and they know this, he was a wild one. So I could not let him go out of my eyesight on a Friday night. He would be on a bus to Hollywood, literally. And so I would say, okay, he's washing the dishes tonight. I need to know that he's in that room. And then
Wow.
my
And what age was he when you were like, you're coming and washing dishes?
oh, probably 14, 15. But my
Wow.
daughter was 13, and I will never forget, she'd lost her retainer three different times. And it was like $250, $300. And I looked at my client and I said, okay, here is the deal. Of course, you've paid for assistance. I'm bringing my daughter. You did not pay for her, but I'm going to make her work because if I'm paying for her retainer, I want her to see she's going to count forks at the end of the night and she's going to do the dirty work that we all do. But here's the really fun part, Kelly. Now my daughter is going to Harvard. She's getting her master's in sustainability and she works for me. So she's been doing projects while she's actually going to Harvard online for her
Wow,
master's. So I love it. And I raise
that's
these smart kids.
amazing.
And that same son that I talked about, I couldn't let him out of my eyesight. He funded and launched his first Kickstarter when he was 21 years old with a
Wow.
game. And now he has his own video game company and he's launching his first project where he's a publisher that paid for everything. And they do a soft launch in March. So I think
Wow.
having parents that are entrepreneurs
Yeah.
really helps them see that you don't have to sit and wait for a job, wait for someone to call you. You have the ability to be active and proactive in your life and go make the money you want to make and do what you want to do.
Yes, I love that. And I'm also like the kind of parent who will be like, you're not going out on Friday night, you're going to come and count forks. Now, just
Yay!
in case that didn't make sense to anyone, you started your career more on the catering side and then moved into planning. Is that right? You just share a bit with me about that.
Yeah, that was it. I started as a caterer because I've been doing this so long. There really weren't planners when I started at all. So my first big wedding was Sharon and Ozzy's renewal on their TV show, and I had been doing parties for them. I had done birthday parties for their kids, like all of them. One time it was a 15, 16, and 17-year-old party all thrown together. And then Sharon just came to me and said, can you do the wedding on our show? It was their season finale. And I had to call a friend who had tried being a wedding planner, hadn't really made it. And then she became a caterer and called me on how to cater. And I asked her to cue my music when they came down the aisle with me because I didn't know how to do that, but I did everything else.
I love that. It's just learn by doing, right? Like you just say yes and you crack on and you find a way to make it come through. Have you ever thought at any point in your career, from the catering to the planning, like, I can't do this anymore? Like, has there ever been a day where you're like, you know what? I'm done here.
Okay, I did go, funny fact, and teach gymnastics when I was about
Oh,
34 for a little bit because I was a competitive gymnast when I was young, which
wow.
I think is why I'm such a workaholic. When
That
I
focus.
was,
Mm.
yeah, when I was a little girl, I went to the gym. I was the youngest on my gymnastics team. So this is a fun fact at 6, and you couldn't compete till you were 8. I was one of those little kids that just flipped everywhere. So they were like, come, she's going to compete. And so I started at like 7 and 8. My mom would pick me up from school, take me to ballet, take me to the gym. I wouldn't be home till 9 o'clock at night.
Wow.
But my body, oh, was achy. And I was really probably too smart for gymnastics at the time of like 12 or 13. I'd look at what they wanted me to do and go, that could hurt. I'm not sure that that works.
Mm.
So I aged out of the gymnastics part, but I wanted my kids to experience it. So I went and taught a local YMCA when they were little and they came to classes, and that was fun. But of course, my heart went back to events.
So you had a pause in events. There was a little window, was there? Or almost not a pause.
Not a pause. I was still doing it. I was at that point, I was consulting for caterers and chefs in
Mhm.
Los Angeles.
Okay.
So I started a movement here, which was kind of planning before I was even a planner. And what I did was I went to celebrity chefs that wanted to cater and didn't know how.
I had them
And
put
so
that
they
together. Mm.
yeah, so they would do all the food out of the kitchen, and then I would go do the site inspections, order all the rentals, staff, everyone. All they had to do was the fabulous food, and I would put together the event. So that was kind of a soft launch into event planning when I didn't even know it.
It's an absolute natural progression there, isn't it? I love that.
Mhm.
Now, I've had the pleasure of meeting your husband as well.
Yes,
We had a brilliant night at the Ritz with my husband and your husband, and it was super fun. And
the
I
best time.
wonder, how does your husband support you? Because he has his own busy, demanding career as well. So, how does he keep you sane? How does he support you?
Oh my goodness, it's mutual. So my husband works in the music business, and when we first met, I was catering backstage at a concert in Chicago, and he was with a band called Faith No More on a big, big festival, and I had a huge crush on John Taylor from Duran Duran, who played that day, and yet I was talking to my husband instead of him. So we fell in love right away, and
Oh,
our careers just grew. He was a drum tech at the time, and I was catering backstage that day, and we just grew and grew and grew together. So today he's the production manager for John Mayer and the Grateful Dead, and so we our worlds align a lot. So fun stories, but this week I helped him. He they were doing a rehearsal at Jim Henson's studio, which John Mayer just bought. It's the iconic Charlie Chaplin studio in Los Angeles. And my husband needed a street permit. His person wasn't making it happen. So he just came in and said, I need a street permit in 3 days. And I
and
said,
he
we're
knows you
going to
can get stuff done in 3 days.
I got it done in 20 seconds. I
I
called my
bet.
permit guy and he had his street permits and he was like, thank you. So we help each other. I get street permits. Sometimes, once in a while, I'll get people who try to talk over my heads when it comes to audio and sound. And they just try to feel like they're bigger by using these big words. So I'll call my husband and be like, they want stacks and racks, or I think he said use the word stacks and racks. But I'll just go and tell him, and then he'll tell me what to say back to them. That puts them right back in their place
Love
and
that.
lets them know I know exactly what I'm doing when it comes to sound and audio and production. So
Love that. So does he have like, so for example, if I'm in a grumpy mood, my husband will be like, "Hey Alexa, play salsa," right? Like, and because I lived in Latin America for so long and I love salsa, and he knows if I'm in the kitchen, I'm being a bit grumpy or whatever, he'll just like put salsa on, and that like gets me out of my mood. Has your husband got some, he runs you a bath, he makes you your favorite coffee, like what does he do?
oh my gosh. Okay, I've seen you salsa dance and I get it. You're fantastic. You're so good. Okay, I think my husband knows to go away.
He's like, "Give me space."
We do the same thing for each other. When he comes home for a tour, I just let him sleep for 2 days. When we first got married, I would show up at the airport with rollerblades, like, let's go to the beach and rollerblade. And he was so tired, and it just doesn't work when you're tired. And usually we're like children, both of us, like little toddlers. And when we're all stressed and crazy, we just need to be alone and fall asleep, and we'll wake up all better.
And I love that, right? Knowing each other as well, when to give space, that's so important. Um,
Yeah.
and when you are exhausted, you mentioned that it happens to all of us, right? Like none of us have unlimited batteries. Is there a different career that you fantasize about? Like you'd never move into it, but on those days where you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted, is there a little piece of you that's like, imagine if I had done this instead?
Oh my goodness. Well, that's funny. Now, not so much, but I am always coming up with a new business idea constantly. And my husband is worn out with, I'm like, I have a business idea. And I will sometimes say, and this one might not be very good. Like this week I had one because I have one every week. There are these giant skeletons. I don't know if you have them in the UK that people bought at Halloween. And we didn't understand until we bought two for our clients because we do big Halloween and Christmas decor.
Yeah.
And they take up an massive amount of storage space in my unit. But there are some people that have these skeletons out all year long, and we finally realized it's because they can't store them. So I started thinking, I was like, I know this one is not a profitable business idea, but I would really like to dress him up as Santa Claus and at Christmas time and the Easter Bunny and have costumes for all these skeletons that people have in their yard. So
So you
my
could put like
mind,
a second cover on it to like reuse it for different holidays.
yeah, Uncle Sam in the States, he would be a great Uncle Sam.
Our UK listeners, they're not going to resonate with this piece because we don't go so big, right? Like with the whole holiday decor. We put a few pumpkins out on the step, and I'm like, oh my God, we did so good this year. But I love that. So there is
Oh,
not a fantasy career that you'd rather have.
oh no, I love this
Wow.
because as you say that, I can't even imagine not doing Halloween. So we also do the haunted house for UCLA and all the students every year. And it is really not a moneymaker, but it's our creative outlet. And we get to scare the students. And I really like that. I love scaring them. And there's a video with my team going through, and I'm like in sheets saying crazy things, all like I hung all these sheets up, because to me it's always scary when you go by the sheets on the lawn. So that's how I would divide up the room, and I'm like coming through them, and I heard them say, "That's our boss." Like there she is.
You're like, don't
So,
worry, it's just the boss.
so scare actor in another life. That's what
There
I'd
you
be.
go. There you go. So I know that you have a new project on the horizon. So you mentioned that you come up with different business ideas and concepts, but do you have something actually really exciting that's coming up? Can you share a bit about that?
Oh my gosh, I could not be more excited to see and go on our first trip. But I created a company called Luxury Wedding Escapes, where we're taking couples on immersive destination wedding scouting trips. So, I mean, you wouldn't buy a car if you couldn't test drive it. You wouldn't buy a couture dress if you didn't try it on. So we're going to take the couple so they can fully experience what it's like to be in a destination, to arrive at the airport, to take the train, to take the boat, to stay the night in the hotel as if they were guests. Taste. So our first trip's going to be to Switzerland, which is really exciting. And it's a 6 night, 7 day trip. And we includes a train pass across the entire country. They're going to fly in at their leisure and take the train to Lucerne for 2 nights. We have boat rides. They're going to have classes in the morning so that they can learn a little bit about like what questions should we ask when we go look at a venue, or meet a photographer and they'll explain to them the different photography styles. They'll learn a little bit, not too much, and then we'll go out exploring venues, tasting chefs. And at the night times, we'll have different parties with bands and different entertainers. So at the end of their week, they could have planned their entire wedding just from this trip. I kind of think of it as like Montessori school with little kids. They go and they're learning and having fun at the same time. And suddenly they just say, I planned my whole wedding.
And this is amazing because we see the growth still with destination weddings, right? They're more and more popular. And, that's where I started my career, right? Destination weddings. And I love that whole concept. But like you say, couples don't get to really experience this, and especially at those higher levels, at those really very high quality venues, those unique venues, and to have someone like you literally hold their hand as they look around and you're pointing things out, and hey, this is going to work really well, and that might be a bit of a pitfall. Like that's an amazing support for those few days, right?
Oh my goodness. It's fantastic. I can't imagine. I'll go with one couple now on trips. Like we just went to Mexico and Tulum, and how lost they feel. They don't know who to call. They might not speak the language.
Yeah.
And watching them navigate a foreign country just hurts my heart. But I already have established these networks and friendships and groups everywhere so that I can call and we have it figured out and I'll introduce them to top tier planners. I don't want to be the wedding planner for all these couples. I
Oh,
couldn't,
you couldn't do it.
I don't have the capacity, but I can introduce them to my friends that are in that region
Yeah.
that are photographers and planners, and they can be all set.
And I love the element of community. It's something that's really resonating with me for 2026 is this whole concept of community. Certainly on my side, more, of course, with the industry. So creating industry events and in-person lunches and much more on that. But I think what you're doing there as well is enabling those people to create that little community over a few days and maybe make some friends that they can lean on and share the planning journey with because maybe their friends are not getting married at the same time. So they don't have that person to bounce off of like you would, your normal bestie.
Absolutely. And the trip can be for a couple, but it doesn't have to be a
Mm.
romantic trip, though. I think that would be fantastic. But it could be for two brides or a mother and a bride or anyone. They can just bring their best friend with them and have the best time.
And this is an epic project, but obviously this is taking time and energy from you. You don't have unlimited time. Have you had to make space, like say no to some other things so that there's space for this project? Because I think, again, a lot of us in the industry, we just take these things on and we just keep getting overloaded. Have you had to say no to stuff?
No. I just built a whole nother team. So I have two teams and I'm not sleeping. And I
We
love
don't
it.
advocate for that, people. We recommend you sleep.
Oh, I know, but it's so exciting. It's such a rush to see it happen in work. So I have a team that does center of attention events and all of our clients, and I talk to those clients and I do a team meeting with everybody on Monday mornings. We go over every single client and we make a strategy, and I might tell them what the lookbook and the designs are. We'll brainstorm. They'll go and work on that, and I'll check in with them daily. We do what's called like a stand-up meeting, and they tell me what they're working on, what pitfalls they have, how can I help them. And then at the same time, I have a full-time PR person and another woman who is leading up the whole project. She's fixing the website constantly, making brand calls, and then I'm stepping in there making other calls and just making everything work and facilitate. So two different teams, they cannot mingle. They each have plenty of tasks on their own.
I love that. And of these couples who are, kind of your target audience for this project, because this is not for everyone at all, is it? This is a very specific type of couple with a higher budget who are looking for a really beautiful destination wedding, not your sort of run of the mill. So, who is this not for? Like, which are the couples that should definitely not be joining this?
Oh my goodness. Those people that are cookie cutter, boring people, it's not for them. It's not for people like to stay home and not go out. This is for adventure seekers, people that want to do something no one else has done before, that like to travel, and maybe they want to go ski. It's so amazing to think, okay, in Switzerland we can go ski that day. But we have one in Scotland that we're talking to right now where there's archery and the golf course is an hour away. They can go just have the best time of their lives, even try on kilts. So there's so many fun adventures that will be natural integrations based on the location and the place that we are.
You know what's going to happen? People who are already married are going to want to come.
I have that all the
Because
time.
I'm listening and I'm like, can me and my husband join this? Sounds so fun.
I think I'm gonna have to
It's
start
like a
another
couple's
business.
retreat.
I think so. I think so.
I love
That's
it.
what I get from everyone. Like, can we just pretend like we're planning a wedding and come?
Okay, so there are obviously going to be people listening to our conversation who, they might be pretty advanced in their career or, they're doing pretty well. But they are looking at you and looking at the career you've built, and, they're like, wow, she's at a whole nother level to where they're maybe at right now. And if someone wants the level of success that you've created, because none of this is luck, right? I mean, yeah, fine, we can have the odd moment where we're in the right place at the right time, but basically, you've created this whole entire incredible career and success. What's something they need to understand about how much it's taken you to get here?
To me, what I can credit my success is starting with catering or a niche. So whatever that niche is, if it's coming from hotels, Kelly, you know about the hotel world because you dug into it. And I know all about food and how much alcohol someone needs, how many hors d'oeuvres they need, what the timeline is for the chef. So that gives me an advantage over other people. If you start in flowers and you understand what floral flowers are in season and what it's like to bring them in, how much time can the altar be up on a sunny day, and that really helps you guide your timelines. Then you're a better planner. People that just come in and just want to be a planner and they don't know the roots of the different vendors and the suppliers have, they're not going to do as well. They just don't know it. And we have someone, oh my gosh, I'm really going to talk out of school right now.
Go for it.
I just had a couple that interviewed me a few months ago that didn't hire me because I was too expensive in their mind. Though I think we all probably actually we have the same expenses, we have the same costs. Some people just hide it sometimes how they're making their money a
Yeah.
little bit. And
Mm.
so they hired someone that appeared to be less expensive than I was. And then they called me and said, and she had actually even been a bridesmaid in one of my weddings previously. I was shocked when she ghosted me. So she'd been ghosting me for months. And I would write her and say, how are you doing? How's it going? And she finally called me and said, I'm so embarrassed. I hired someone else. I have to confess. It's not working out. And we thought it was because of money and she was cheaper. But this is what I was like, this is where I'm going to go back to our conversation. I was like, she used to be a school teacher. She was a school teacher. I've been doing this for, okay, it's been 30 years just about now. So you're not going to get the same vendor contacts, insights with someone who doesn't have a background in the industry that like loading the car and even knowing what you need to do and go buy that morning to have fresh that day. And our days are 15 hours, 16, sometimes 20-hour days because we have to go buy ice on the way and buy fresh items for a couple. So even when my bride's getting ready in the morning, I'll stop and get her favorite coffee drink and make sure there's ice for her champagne that she's chilling in her room. And all those little details and that service make all the difference for the couple.
Is so true. And if I think back, to my first few years in destination weddings, I made mistakes. But after I made that mistake, it was chalked up in my brain. So then I never made it again. And that piece was covered. And it's like layering that year after year after year. And, they're not big mistakes, they're little things, but you tweak and you tweak and you tweak. So by the time you get here after 10, 15 years, like nothing's going wrong because you've got everything so boxed in that it's like it can't go wrong. And even if it does, like you said, you've got a list of people who will come at your beck and call to help you fix it, right?
That's it. That's it. And I've got like a system, like everything is so systematized that there will not be a mistake. It just doesn't happen for us anymore.
No, no, absolutely. And so, what mistakes do you actually see new planners making? So, what are some of those things that you kind of see happening?
Oh my goodness. One time I had a phone call from a girl, and there's a very famous place in Los Angeles called Greystone Mansion that's owned by the city in Beverly Hills. It's gorgeous. It's 46,000 square feet. And again, a couple had called and interviewed me and given me their budget, and it was not this crazy big budget, but it was a nice budget. They could have had a gorgeous, beautiful wedding. And then a girl called me and she started asking me questions and interviewing me. And all of a sudden, I realized these questions weren't quite right. And she just gave in to me and she told me, I was hired by this couple. They had interviewed you. They told me that you knew how to do these things at Greystone, how to make this happen. I've only done day of wedding planning, and this is my first full service wedding. And I don't know how they're going to get that wedding for that budget. Like they just don't have a big enough budget. And to me, they had plenty of money. I knew I had the relationships. I knew how to give them a gorgeous wedding. So though I appeared to be more expensive, my client's final end project, their end day wedding was going to be fantastic. And I never knew what happened to that couple, but
Oh, it's so painful, isn't it? And do you see a lot of brides especially who have their own wedding and then get super excited and then try to launch a planning business off the back of it?
yes, and I've actually met a few planners that it's worked and they're doing
Okay.
quite well with it. So it does happen. I cringe because I think how on earth my own team, we will say between us we wouldn't want to do a wedding planning it with just one of us. I mean, to do the level that we do, it
Yeah.
takes two and three people in the office to make everything come together and be perfect. So it pains me when I first hear it, but there are people, and that's how they launch their career. So good for them.
And what do you think people massively misunderstand about the money in the wedding industry? Because we hear all the time, like, oh, you say the word wedding and the price skyrockets. And, it's as if couples look at us in the industry, whether you're a band or a planner or a venue, and apparently we're all making a gazillion pounds or dollars off every wedding, right? Like, what are people misunderstanding about money in this industry?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so one of the calls that I'll never forget was a vintage rental company. Remember when people were getting all the mismatched plates and vintage
Yeah.
couches? And I had a client, they give me a discount because I'm efficient. I know what I want. I create my look for my client. I write up the rentals. I send them the rentals. They send it back. Maybe there's a change, but there's not always even a change. Unless my guest count changes. It's pretty simple. It's straightforward. And this rental company called and said, your bride keeps calling us all the time. We cannot give a discount because of the amount of time we've had to spend with her on this order. Um, that's why we have to charge more money. It's the time because they're so nervous when it's their wedding day. But when you do it, Michelle, you're great. So it's fast, it's efficient. We know it. We can give you a discount because you save us time.
Yeah, because you're the barrier, right, between the client and the vendor. So then it's a much easier way to deal with you. But do
Yeah.
you think that couples have this misconception that everybody's overcharging them and that we're all making a ton of cash left, right, and center? Like there seems to be this weirdness around it, right?
Oh my gosh, there is a weirdness. I hear that and I'm like, the price of the chair is the price of the chair. The price of the chair does not increase. I mean, the one thing that might increase is the deliveries because with the wedding, sometimes you have to deliver that morning and take out that night. And so the
Mm.
price of delivering and picking up in a time situation can be a lot more expensive. But the price of the chair is the same price for the chair. It doesn't change.
There's so many venues that have stories around couples trying to pretend it's not a wedding when they book. Not at the level you're dealing with, but more kind of your average neighbor on the street. And they will just say, "Oh, it's just a lunch, it's just a thing." And then they're just trying to hide it's a wedding because they think they're going to have an increase in price. And then of course it's not delivered in the right way because it's just put on like a social lunch. So there's no fuss and there's no extra time spent and there's not all the support and the emails and the calls and the meetings, and then they don't get that lovely special event that they're actually wanting.
Oh my gosh, I see it all the time. I'll hear it. I see it on threads on Clubhouse. I'm like, you're not right. Tell the truth. You've got to tell the truth. You can't lie about your guest count. You can't lie and say it's not a wedding. And you deserve to be spoiled. You deserve to people to, I
Talking of
mean,
guest count, have you ever dealt with a wedding where there's been a complete like increase in guest numbers on the day?
well, I had one a couple of years ago where when we went to look at the venue, they told the tale about their guest count. Then I saw their invitations come through, with the list. I'm like, there's no way you're at 150 people, you're inviting 400 people, you're not going to be 150. And this was a gorgeous estate. and there was a giant lawn that they saw that was on an angle, but the venue decided in the course of the year as they planned the wedding to make it flat. So then the area that was flat and squared off did not hold the 200 people that they ended up with, and they should have told the truth from the beginning. So they were so frustrated with me as I did their floor plan. I'm like, we don't have room for heaters between tables. They have to be long rows of tables to fit within this square now, because this venue didn't do weddings over 150, and I had to beg them to, let us continue with this wedding.
Yes, it makes the venue look bad, right? Because then everyone's going to say, "Oh, I didn't have enough space. It was too cold." Da da da. And the venue had said, "Well, we can only do 150." And but no one cares, right? On the day, people only care: are they comfortable? Do they have space? Are they warm? Are they eating?
It's true. And then you get these couples that are like, well, they've got a big lawn. It's fine. And they don't realize that these houses that are in private states also are worrying about, oh, I've got a funny story on this one. And by the way, if you want a funny story, Kelly, but we have the neighborhood. So they don't want the cars coming in that are going to disturb the neighbors.
Yeah,
The neighbors might call the police. It's got to be quiet,
yeah.
under the radar. And okay, my funny story on this wedding, they weren't supposed to have a limousine because that was another like cue to the neighbors that there were, events happening. But not only did we have a limousine, but the mom ordered the limousine for herself. And then she didn't have a plus one. So she invited the limo driver as her date to the wedding by
Yeah,
the time the wedding happened.
I love that. She was like, "He's hot. I'll take him."
That's right.
And look, if we were being brutally honest with our couples, because we shelter them from a lot, right? We shelter them from a lot, and that's part of what we do. But if we were being brutally honest, what would we tell them on day one when they start planning?
No, be honest. That's number one. Be honest. And I tell them to just really disclose where their investment is that makes them comfortable, and maybe their number that they're going to kill me if I come to
Okay.
them with that
Mm.
number. Because a lot of people do lie about their budget too in the very beginning because they hear that it gets more expensive. And
Yes,
then
it down. Mm.
yeah, sometimes they'll be upset with me that I didn't take them to this venue, but I didn't take it to them because it wasn't in the framework of their initial financials that they disclosed to me. But their wedding turns out, I mean, some people have no problem with their wedding being twice the number they told me. And there are some people that really need to stay within that budget. So just be very honest, and I will give you the most that I can from the very beginning if I know what you're
In that budget arena there, are you seeing more couples paying for their own weddings or still a lot of parents really paying for those higher end weddings?
for my clientele, I'd say 60 to 80% the couples pay for the weddings because I have professionals. I mean, mine are a little bit older couples living in Los Angeles. People tend to get married at 30 plus, not in their 20s. I have them too. And it's usually my couples that are in their 20s where the parents pay for the wedding. But once they're over 30, the majority of them are attorneys and doctors, and they're just, or a celebrity, someone that's just very busy and they don't have time. One of them said to me, like, my billable rate is, 350 an hour. I just need you to go plan and I got to go get my billable rates as an
Yeah.
attorney. So
Yeah, because they make more money per hour doing that than they're gonna spend having someone sort the wedding out. That's what my husband says about taking care of the garden. He would rather pay someone to take care of the garden and he can just go make the money to do that.
smart
Yes,
guy.
right? Okay, let's close up our conversation on our little rapid fire question. So you just shout at me whatever comes to mind, whatever your gut feel is. And I'm just gonna fire 6 questions at you.
Okay.
Planners should stop.
Ooh, ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. That's
Planners should stop.
okay. Planners should stop loading their own car. That's my own thing, like giving away so much. I literally bought a smaller car one time after a wedding because I want to give every single thing to my clients that I can, but that's where I overgive. And I had this big SUV one weekend and I was hauling around cocktail tables. Just want to give them a little bit more. I had cocktail tables and plants, and I went to a wedding and literally a funeral within 2 days that I planned. And those were in the back of my car. And I went and bought a Mini Cooper that weekend. I was like, I have to stop doing this. That's my way that I can be good to myself is stop loading my own car in and out every single event. It's
Well, that was
killing me.
not what we thought you were going to say. I love that. And I love that you have a Mini, a UK car. We'll take that. Okay, next one. If you can't handle bleep, this industry isn't for you.
If you can't handle money, this industry isn't for you
Ooh, interesting. People underestimate me because
because I'm so friendly at first, but I am very tough.
the skill that matters most after 5 years in the industry is
Having a group of vendors that I can call on any time of day that will come and have my back and take care of me.
love that. The biggest myth about planning weddings is
Ooh, that it's going to be all fun because it's not. Every couple cracks, and I tell them that every single time. Like, you're going to crack one time. I give them permission, crack one time, you get a crack, but it's okay, and you're okay to do that. But yeah, it's not fun the whole time. You deal with your family, you deal with budgets, you deal with surprises that come into you. And so it's a little stressful.
and finally, I am most grateful for.
My clients. My
Oh,
creative clients, my clients that let me do whatever I want, and we get to do really crazy things. Like Kelly, I don't know if I told you, but I sawed a bride in half, and I love,
is
I
she all
love.
right? Do we need to call anyone?
Oh my gosh, she's fantastic. I love my clients that let me do crazy things and let me be super creative. Oh gosh, I got another one for you right
Go
now.
on,
You're gonna laugh. And
go.
we did in October, I had this amazing client and she came to me, she said, and she was quite wealthy. So she'd been to a lot of parties, a lot of weddings, had a bar mitzvah, and kind of loved that fun of the bar mitzvah. And she
Yeah,
said, it's not my precious day. I keep talking to all these planners about my precious day, and I'm not precious, and I don't want a precious wedding. I want it kind of campy. I want it to be really just fun and kind of ridiculous. So, and I didn't even know what she meant till we went out. She said, we got in the conversation of statues. And so I went to a place where I rent trees and statues. I showed her some statues, and there was this girl like this, and she said, okay, can you put some like moss in her armpit? I'm like, okay, got you. We can do that. And she's like, and maybe a joint in her hand right there. I'm like, okay, sure, we can do that. And so then as we were going through the party, and she had this amazing after party, she mentioned a booze luge to me, and I had this idea, and I will tell people like, I'm going to tell you crazy ideas, and you can say no. And so here's one: what if we make your booze luge a statue because we have the statues, and we'll do Michelangelo's David, and he'll be peeing out your vodka. And we did it. It was the best part of the whole wedding. And what
oh
an
my God. So people are underneath the statue drinking the vodka.
yep, they were taking shots right there of
Ooh.
all sexes. It was quite a night. We
Okay,
had
that is
all
one I haven't heard before.
kinds. Yep.
Oh
So
my God.
my fun clients, the clients that will let us do something different and fun and explore and brainstorm. And we're going to have the best experience and the best wedding when we just get to have some fun.
I love that. Michelle, this conversation has been such fun. My cheeks are actually hurting from laughing and smiling so much with you. Thank you so much for coming on. In the show notes, we'll put all of the details on how people can connect with you. But if they are interested in following you or connecting with you, where would you like them to come and find you?
Ooh, centerofattention.com.
Lovely. Amazing.
Thank you. And then, of course, Luxury Wedding Escapes.
Woo!
So there'll be a
The new
link.
project. Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye, Kelly.